Evening, babies, and welcome to your late night session with Dude and his thoughts. That could be a good fucking title, right? But I really would want to talk about today. Uh, hang out with some. I took a day off today. And I went hiking as well. I was kind of looking forward to it. And the person I met last week basically was like, "I'm still in town. Do you want to do something?" I'm like, "Hike." And I took the opportunity because she has basically her daughter with her, and her daughter is super curious and this in a way kind of like very much I don't know. I felt like I was actually always feel when I'm talking to like smaller children, especially when they're trying to experiment and like what's this. I've experienced it with cousins. I've experienced it with children of friends of mine. Like hanging out is just like beautiful. And so I hung out with them last week. It was beautiful, an hour and a half session of just kind of like talking, right? I just like how kids kind of like jump through thoughts from one thought to another, kind of want to capture. Like it felt like a training exercise for me, but was super interesting because they're super honest with what's going on in their mind or what they're trying to think or what they want to say, and I felt like there's a certain kind of like I don't know. It's a selfish thing because I felt very like I am expressing myself in the most honest way possible as well. Very childlike play. Like last week, it all started with the guitar and how she was trying to learn the guitar and what's the difference between learning the guitar and learning music. And then from there, it's like I tried and I couldn't, and then basically I had to jump on that kind of stuff. And eventually, we were like how she approaches school and how she thinks about her friends in school, and when she feels she has to study and when she feels that she doesn't, right? And today it was more like I was excited for the hiking trip simply because if you let somebody kind of like just I don't know if it's the exhaustion or it's really just the walking. And with nature around you, without the actual cities and building blocks and everything, you kind of like don't have the images of the things that kind of like control your peripheries. And I'm using the word control here. So let me dive into that a bit. Cities are man-built, right? So basically, like everything concerning society is kind of like constructed around the houses that we build, the way we live. Let's go with the way we live. And it goes everything between houses, cars, even like electrical wires kind of like remind you that human beings are past here. In our case today, the only thing that reminded us that human beings passed there was trash. It was a horrible thing. Trash and just kind of like where we went, there were a bunch of people with loud music, but it was fun. It was definitely fun. So we tried different things. We saw a waterfall and she wanted to jump, but it was very high. And so we started taking smaller leaps until she kind of like jumped from a place that's high enough for her to be scared. But then it was like when she jumped, she was like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "You did it! You did it!" She goes like my hand. I was like, "Fuck it! You did it! You did it! You did it!" It was kind of like just a sublime kind of like I don't know. I guess feeling just kind of like see these small successes, even though they could really be irrelevant. But I really think like it's the same way we feel as adults. Because like when you do something, you get like kind of like I'm proud of myself feel. But I think we lose that halfway through, or at the very least, maybe society itself doesn't nourish it in us. So at one point, one of the most beautiful things that happened was we started walking. I didn't want to be in place. She didn't want to be in place. I'm like, let's walk up the river. We convinced the mom and my friend and her friend and my friend and my cousin basically convinced them to start walking up the river. They wanted to walk on the sidelines and we wanted to jump the rocks, me and her. So like we basically started jumping the rocks. And as we were doing that, I'd be like, no, okay, like, because she was kind of worried she would slip and all that stuff. So I tried to be one of those. Okay, so if you trust yourself and you trust your eyes, then your eyes are going to point at the things that you could step on, correct? And then you basically have to build some form of relationship with, all right, so if I'm going to step on it, I'm going to jump on it, I'm going to you might like, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna trust this, and that's the experience. And she was like, okay, I was like, and there's always somebody leading that you would want to trust and you would want to listen to. And she said, okay. And she goes like, you lead the way. And I was like leading the way and I was like pointing at things left and right. And like, I'll look at this bee drinking water, a frog, and we'd go and try to grab the frog. I actually grabbed one earlier on. So like we'd be doing these bits and pieces until at one point like the order switched and she was like, I'm gonna lead. I go like, do it. I'm gonna follow you. And she started doing like similar things, but at one point she started explaining her thought process out loud as she was walking. Super beautiful, by the way. Because I was just like behind her, kind of like following the rocks she jumps on and diving in the water, and like and then at one point she started saying, "I'm a warrior, and warriors do this and warriors do that," and that kind of like prompted a certain feeling. And I go like, "Warriors lead well, right?" And she goes like, "Yes, warriors do this, and they try new things." And they attempt and they do this and they do that. And she just went on a monologue for like 30 minutes of us jumping rocks. And I tried my best not to say anything because I want to like tell her, yeah, according to the samurai and according to this and according to that. But I knew that is not part of the moment. I think at one point I actually tried to go like, no, you know that every warrior has their code. There's loyalty, there's honesty, there's integrity, there's sincerity, and there's sympathy. And I could tell like he was like, eh, so it's fucking beautiful. But the idea behind it was just kind of like, how when she got into that flow, boom, she was completely leading, completely pointing everything out. I'd help her on like the bigger rocks or when she kind of like gets excited. But at first she was worried she'd get cut, and by the end of it she goes like, "It's fine, I got cut again, and then like, now this rock we're gonna do it this way because this is how I slipped on this rock." And it was such a beautiful experience. uh, at least for me, from me seeing something like this kind of like happening in front of me and seeing that change happen so organically, it was such a beautiful experience, which prompted me to kind of like write a few notes. So it was such a beautiful day when it comes to that. And I didn't want to do this video because I didn't want to put a shirt on, but like it's breezy and I've been in the water all day, so like super fun. Here I am. I don't know how to cap this because I have to practice some music for tomorrow's. The teacher's coming tomorrow, and I did do some practice this week. But first, I don't know. I don't know if I'm not really ready for this, or I don't know if it was just like too much information that needs to set. But I think kind of like yeah. So maybe from today, because holy shit. Okay, so such an experience for me is I would say is very much one of those moments I appreciate when people are around. And I think a big part of it is because I was heard, right? And if anything, I was heard, I was seen, and we weren't engaging like just with people. Like people were binding together to engage with something. And it was super fun, and I challenged myself to jump from a high place, and I didn't challenge myself actually. I just looked, I was like, I'm gonna jump, and I'm not gonna think about it, and I jumped, and it was just like super freaky. But I did it like two, three times specifically in order for me to kind of like establish that I've done this. But it could be done. I've done this. I'm over it. All this stuff. And so I wonder what next I could actually like, just kind of like point at. This week has been lost between like it's a beautiful meetings with the people that I'm working with or I'm trying to work with. And I really feel like by the end of this month, like I actually will have a whole lot of stuff to kind of code connect and have a website ready within the next month. So that fundamentally is like super, for me specifically, it's like super exciting. I wanted to update you guys, I guess. I wanted to like share my prospects and truly and honestly just kind of like have a video that's not really me thinking, I guess. That could be a good video for today. Why the fuck not? It was such a beautiful, the whole day was just one moment. I like it. I like it, and I'm very grateful. It's a video. I love you guys.